All right, here we go. Our final equation worksheet. Going to give you some help equation worksheet number 5. Hopefully by now you should start to become familiar with these. What do we see here? We have maybe this is a 2, then an A term, and a B term is a C term. Well, if I divide this over here, nothing's going to eliminate. So why don't we take this product here and turn it into a sum, so maybe we get something like this where they subtract away. Number 2, what do we see mathematically? A plus a B over a C, not good. Take this sum and do sum to product, and maybe it'll turn into AB over a B. Usually does in our problems. Sine, tangent, sine. Well, what do you see? You see sines on both of them, and why don't we just move this over here and factor? I think we'll get somewhere if we can do that. All right, we have a bunch going on here. Well, I usually like to clean up these first. And when you have sine of something, remember the rule is sine of a negative x, or the opposite of x, pulls that sign out to the, or that negative sign out to the front, if you want to think of it that way. So maybe this pulls out here, and now we have plus, and then the problem is not too difficult. The other option here is cosine of something. Well, cosine doesn't pull out. Cosine, just kind of like absolute value, makes it x. And the sine and, you'll see this a lot, sine and tangent go together. Tangent pulls it out in front. All right, but what do we have here? This is, I'd say this is probably the most difficult one I have on here. Well, I'll give you a couple clues here. This one is 1 over sine, cosecant 1 over sine, and I would go ahead and change that to 1 minus sine squared. Plus sine x equals 2, and I think you might be able to get somewhere with that. If you go ahead and maybe distribute this in, you might have something that's solvable. But again, don't start doing too much until you know you need it. And this is an easy switch, and that's an easy switch. Don't forget about Pythagorean identity. Sine squared, cosine squared is 1. That's how we're making that switch right there. All right, well, what do we have here? Well, hey, hopefully by now we recognize that that's a sum formula of 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. There's always 4. Tangent's a little bit crazier, but there's still 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. All right, what do we have here? Well, kind of messy, but right there, that's a product. That's a product that could go to a sum. And then it might clean up easy for you. Sine, cosine here, may be hard to see, but this is again right here. That is a product to sum. Or if you can figure out a different way, it's really a double angle formula, but it's not necessary to do it that way. It is fine to say this is a product to a sum. It's sine times cosine, which is right there, sine times cosine. All right, on the last one, well, hey, right here we have the sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1, but I don't know if you need that, so I wouldn't get started too fast. I would clean up this side first, and I would take this difference and turn it into a product, hopefully to cancel it out. I mean, that's our main thing this time. All right, and then you might need this. You may or may not need this, I don't know. All right, well, we can solve this one, but wait a minute, it's going to take a general formula. And we could solve this one, and I'm going to do this over here. It's secant equals -1. We don't work with secants very much. So what we do is you can do the step where you flip secant. Secant is paired up with cosine. So if I flip this, I also have to flip this, and right now it's -1 over 1. So I flip it, I make it -1 over 1. Well, hey, that's still just -1. So this side is flipped, or the reciprocal, This is also the reciprocal. The reciprocal of -1 is still just -1. All right, well, this should hopefully get started, help you get started on it. Answers are here. You can verify them on Desmos.